This example shows how to use the installation project from the Visual Studio environment. Now, the installation project is one of the projects that can be generated with the nHydrate framework. So this is a model we've been using for my first model, and it has the customer type, and product table in it. Now, after we generate, we get the data access layer and we get the installation project. This installation project is essentially well, obviously a bunch of scripts since it's for SQL Server. You get the create schema, which generates out all the tables, alter tables, anything else that it's going to need, indexes, primary keys, defaults, and it's got create data for static data. We did have static data inside of this model. Our customer type had two of them. It actually inserts the good and not so good for the customer type, as discussed in a previous example. So there's also stored procedures. All these stored procedures are, it allows the data access layer to interface with the database very quickly and efficiently to pull data, save data, delete data, etc. So there's also a multitude of update scripts or upgrade scripts that are created every time you generate, such that you can have one version of a database go to another version of a database. And that'll be discussed in another example. So essentially this is a project, all right, and it's going to be a DLL once it's compiled out, which you cannot run, of course. So if we go to properties, and we look at the debug properties, I set these, which is we just wish to use the install util provided by the .NET 2.0 framework. So mine's under C Windows Microsoft.NET framework version 2 install util, and by default this project is the assembly name is actually company name.project name.install. So I just copied this, and on the command line arguments for debug, I just put on the command line, I put .dll on the end, because this is actually what the assembly name is named on disk. So what we're going to do is we're going to start up the install util program provided by Microsoft, and as a parameter we're going to send this DLL to it. So you're sitting here in your environment and you wish to upgrade your database or create your database. I can actually just right click on the install project, say debug, start new instance. It's going to come up with a command line application, and it's going to allow me now, with the Windows interface that pops up out of it, it's going to allow me to upgrade or create a database. So I'm going to use my own machine, and I'm going to create a database called testproj. I can actually save the settings so that if I'm upgrading or creating over and over again, I don't have to type my connection information continuously. Push the OK button. And we're done. So now the database has actually been created, and we're ready to start executing queries against it. This just happened to be the way that we are running it from the environment. However, you could also embed this DLL into some other larger installation package or any type of application and actually call the create database function or the upgrade database function. But it's also very convenient that we can actually run it directly from the environment here, so that when we're testing we can be upgrading databases continuously, because I can come into here on the model, change the model, add fields, delete fields, and when I regen, these upgrade scripts are going to change based on whatever changes I have. It essentially does a diff from each previous version. So I can, from my environment, I can upgrade my database continuously without having to go to SQL Server or do anything else special. But as I said, this actually could be included into a larger installation program where you might have a very complex install script, and this just happens to be the piece that installs your database. You just call, if your installation product can call an external DLL, it can just call the create database function on this library.